What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down how quarterbacks can be a true dual threat QB. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it can teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you're a quarterback and you want to know how many days a week you should be throwing, what you should be doing in regards to your throwing mechanic drills, your off-platform drills, throwing on the run drills, check out that very first link in the description below for a 28-day quarterback on-field workout plan. What you'll get access to is 4 weeks of specific quarterback on-field drills, warm-up routines, everything to help your rotator cuff, the works. We give you a video example of each exercise, and we break down the exact sets and reps you should do on a day-to-day basis. So check out that very first link below if you're interested, fellas. Let's get started with this video. So first example here is going to be from Lamar Jackson. Now, especially in today's day and age, the whole reason we make this type of video about being a dual threat guy, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a 4.4, 4.3, 40-yard dash guy like Lamar Jackson is. But there are some things that you need to know how to do if you want to have success as a quarterback in today's football world. And the first thing we're going to be discussing is the zone read. So what the zone read is, obviously everybody's probably seen this zone read concept before, where you're reading the defensive end, you see if he turns his shoulders, he commits downhill, and you're either pulling it or you're handing it off to the running back. So a couple things about this zone read. Number one, you need to make sure that you set up the running back correctly. So obviously, as quarterbacks, being a dual threat, we are still a passer first. We still want to get the ball to my playmakers, whether that is wide receivers or whether that is a running back. Yes, we want the ball in my hands. I get it. Believe me, I was a dual threat guy. I always wanted the ball in my hands, but you need to make sure that you set your running back up for success. So number one, if you're at a pistol when you're doing this zone read, you need to make sure that you give the running back the line. So you see how Lamar Jackson, he's lined up on the hash. You see how when he catches this snap and when he goes to make this zone read, he gets his feet all the way out of the way and gives a clear path for this running back to hit the hole with some speed. Because if we make the right read and that guy hits this thing with some speed and we have the right numbers to block this thing up, this play could go just as far as if we pull it and we take it off the edge. So that's the first thing about being a dual threat guy. You have to make sure that we are doing the little details right in the zone read game. Help your running back out with some success. So now, we have to make sure that on this zone read, we know who my read key defender is. So in this specific example, my read key defender, this is a 4-3 front. My read key defender is going to be this defensive end on the left. We are leaving him unblocked. Whatever decision he decides to make, he is going to be wrong if I have this read out correctly. So Jackson gives the midline. He extends the ball back. Now, anytime that we are doing a zone read, we need to make sure that we are extending the ball back as far as possible. You don't have to extend and put it into his stomach or anything. You have to make sure that when we extend the ball back, you're giving myself enough time to make a read on this defensive end. So that's why we need to show the running back the ball. So that's what Lamar Jackson does. He shows the running back the ball. And you see how he's riding the fake all the way through. Eyes go straight to the defensive end because we are trying to read his body language. So obviously, when that defensive end's hips and shoulders commit downhill, that is when we pull this thing. But we need to make sure I give myself enough time to do that. That's why I need to extend that ball back. So now when he commits his hips and his shoulders, we pull this thing and we take it right off the edge. Now, one of the key mistakes that guys will make on this zone read is that when that defensive end crashes, instead of going right off the edge and getting north-south, they go wide. So they take a wide angle and they run towards the sideline, then they try to turn upfield. That's just giving the entire defense more time to recover. So make sure we are right off of that defensive end's hip. Now, when do we give the ball? We give the ball, this defensive end could crash down completely, but if his hips and his shoulders stay square facing us, that is when we should give the ball. We are reading his body language. Hips and shoulders commit, we pull. Hips and shoulders stay square, we give this thing right away. So let's play this again, full speed one more time. So first key to being a dual threat, guys. Like I said, you do not have to be a 4-3, 4-4, 40-yard dash guy. But you have to make sure that you know how to do the zone read because that's how offenses are evolving. If you're a youth quarterback, a high school quarterback dreaming of playing college football, that is where the game is heading. Every single offense has this in just about. So if you want to make yourself stand out, be able to execute this zone read. Great job by Lamar Jackson with that pull and then being able to get north-south and pick up an easy 10. Okay, so now this next example here I want to show because this is for the guys who are the 4-4 guys, like the quicker quarterbacks, the shorter quarterbacks. Let's say, for example, you're a short quarterback like myself, and maybe you throw the ball fine, but you make a lot of plays with your legs. If you're undersized, you don't fit the mold. You don't fit the stereotype for a quarterback. You're not 6'2", 6'3", sling the ball 65 yards. You have to make plays like this to stand out. So let's watch what Lamar Jackson does here, right? And this is that true dual threat. He makes the wrong read on a zone read. So he does the exact same thing. It's like a pistol zone read play, and you see what he's able to do. He makes the wrong read. You see how this defensive end, this is going to be my read key. He comes off the edge here. He stays square. Hips and shoulders stay completely square. This is a give all day long. Go let your running back do the work. But Lamar Jackson pulls it, puts the brakes on, makes a guy miss, and then is able to push back upfield and get up and make a huge play out of nothing pretty much off of a wrong read. Fellas, I'm not saying to purposely go out there and make wrong reads, but these are the types of plays that you want to try to include on your highlight tape because this is what college coaches are looking for, fellas. They're looking for playmakers like this, and this is how you can stand out while being a dual threat guy. If you're short, undersized, you got a lot of speed though, you can make guys miss. These are the plays that they want to see. They want to see you being a playmaker. So I just wanted to include that because I think that's a big part about being a dual threat guy is that, you should never try to do the wrong read. I'm not saying to do that. I'm just saying that there are times where you can't coach some of the stuff that you need to do on film. Yeah, those plays, college coaches want to see those plays, and that's how you can stand out. So let's play this again, full speed one more time. Great job by Jackson making something out of nothing, making a mistake, and then making up for the mistake by making this huge run downfield. That's a very, very dangerous player. Okay, so now, being a dual threat guy, number one thing is, like I said this earlier in this video, we're trying to get the ball to who? We're trying to get it to my playmakers. So oftentimes, and every single guy who knows that they're a dual threat, can run a little bit athletic, knows this feeling. Your receiver isn't open, everything's covered. It is very, very tempting to just go pull it down and go try to do it ourselves. Right? And this is something that got me in a ton of trouble as a player. I wouldn't even necessarily say trouble because I never really made too many mistakes off of this, but I could have made bigger plays that would have made me a better quarterback and look like a better quarterback. So you look at Jalen Hurts in this situation. His receivers are covered. His guys are downfield. He's got nothing on the left side. His eyes started on the left side of this concept. So he breaks out of the pocket to run. Now, he could easily, he's the athlete, just like a lot of you guys are, good enough athlete, just pull this thing down, go get 7-8 yards. Just go do it yourself, right? Second down, first down, just go do it yourself. But as a quarterback, we want to be a passer first. That's how we don't get labeled as that guy who can only run. We want to be a passer first. So as soon as you break the pocket, your eyes should be right away downfield. Who am I looking at? Scramble drill situation. I'm trying to be a passer first. So many times, fellas, when I played, this was same exact situation would happen. Nobody was open. Maybe I couldn't see because I'm on the shorter side of things. And I would just go run, right? Now listen, I get 7-8 yards, fine. But why get 7-8 yards when I could go get 15 yards and I could not take a hit? I could get the ball to my playmaker. I could play smart. I could actually be a quarterback. I could be a dual threat, not just a running back out there who can throw, right? And so Jalen Hurts does a great job of that. Gets out of the pocket, eyes downfield, easily pull this thing down and go get easy yardage. But he gets it to his playmaker. Don't take any unnecessary hits that we don't have to, fellas. Get it to my receivers. They are naturally better athletes than we are. That's just how it is. Sometimes they might not be, you get a Lamar Jackson type situation, but trust me, fellas, you will have a longer lasting career and season if you just get the ball to your playmakers downfield. Those are the guys, you want to be a distributor. You want to be a point guard. You take the shots when we need to, but we want to distribute to my playmakers. So let's play this again, full speed one more time. Now, throwing on the run is a big part about being a dual threat guy. So mechanically, what do you have to do on the run to be successful? Because I know a lot of you have questions about that. So we're going to look at this example here from Trevor Lawrence, and this is probably as textbook as it gets for throwing on the run mechanics. So when you throw on the run, most important thing for accuracy is just like when you're in the pocket, where do you get all of your power from? You get all of your power from your hips and all the power from your legs, right? So when you're throwing on the run, it's the same idea. You want to load with your hips. You want to get your hips driving towards the target, but you also want to separate your shoulders from your hips to generate torque. They call it hip and shoulder dissociation, which is a fancy way of saying hip and shoulder separation. So you see when Trevor Lawrence goes to make this throw, he steps with his throwing side foot in the direction of the target. He is pointing his toes because that is what will load your hips to the target. So when you're on the run, your thought process to be more accurate, I'm trying to point my throwing side foot wherever I want that ball to go because that will direct your hips there. So now as you are stepping with that throwing side foot, you want to take the ball back. You want to slightly close your front shoulder because now I have that separation. My hips are going, but my shoulders are staying loaded back. That's a position where I could generate torque. So now, icing on the cake here, as you step, as the shoulders go back, is the left leg kick. So your left leg kick kicks through, same time your arm goes through. And that creates kind of like the snap and the whip of the motion. I break throwing down the run in two parts. I call it phase one. Phase one is when you step and when your shoulders go back. And I mainly say this is kind of like a cue for my quarterbacks, like, hey, your phase one was off. So they automatically know they either opened up their shoulders too early when they took a step, or maybe they didn't rotate at the same time. Maybe they rotated early, right? So it's one of those things, phase one. And then phase two is release point as you are kicking through. And now when you kick through, when that arm comes through, it's very important that your shoulders, your hips stay square, so your release point stays inside your frame, and you can get to something we call extension, which is the release point. A lot of people will say like, oh, just flick your wrist at the target. You can't flick your wrist to the target while you're on the run if your front side is not disciplined. If your hips and your shoulders end up pointing towards the sideline and you rip open with your elbow, your arm will not be able to get to extension. If Trevor Lawrence had that front elbow and it was pulling down and his head was leaning out, all this, his release point would be flawed. So him staying level with the shoulders, hips facing the target, front hand by his chest, that allows him to extend, flick his wrist, and get that icing on the cake to be consistent on the run. So fellas, mechanically, being a dual threat guy, got to be able to throw on the run because you got to extend the play. Our job is to extend the play as a quarterback, just like in that last example we talked about. I can't do that with flawed throwing on the run mechanics. So this is exactly what you need to focus on. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you would like a full 4-week wide receiver, or quarterback, a 4-week quarterback on-field workout schedule, check out that very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.